Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Can you name a few things that make rednecks happy? The first few things I can think of: beef jerky, ammunition, maybe cold beer. But one other thing might make them more excited than any one of those three: car parts. We've got a few boxes here we're going to go through. The reason we're into shopping at the Oldsmobile is they apply to the Oldsmobile. What's getting ready to happen is, if you'll remember back in an earlier video, we disassembled the brakes on this car. At that time, I was recovering from hand surgery, which has been over a year ago. And right now, I'm in the process of recovering from a second hand surgery. So my buddy Randy's going to come by, put all this stuff back together. It's probably not going to take you more than about 30 minutes at the most. And then after we do that, I don't know if you folks have went through or had the need to go through and find secondhand or usable 15-inch General Motors or Ford wheels and tires. But that right there has proven to be an unbelievably hard thing to do. Everybody's gone to 16s and above. I mean, you watch all your shows, you see those 20s, 24s, whatever. But just trying to find a set of General Motors 15-inch wheels and tires has been hard. If you'll recall, the 49 Chevrolet sitting outside has got Oldsmobile 15-inch wheels on it. That's what's going to wind up going back on this particular car. But I didn't want to have to try to move the 49 in, take those wheels off, bring them in, put them on the Oldsmobile, and then move it as well. So what I've done is I have found a set of wheels that ultimately I'm going to use on the 49. But rather than doing all that swap out, what we're going to do is we'll take the Chevrolet Rallies that I've come up with. A friend of mine, Jeff, brought those over. He's not using them, so we're going to put them on the Oldsmobile to get it on the ground, to get it on the rollback or the trailer, so we can get it into the shop. Because ultimately, as soon as it gets in there, it's going to be back on jack stands, because we got to go through the brake system. But I'm going to put the brake system back together before I put the wheels and tires on it, since we've already got it apart. So stick around. Going to be a little bit interesting, a little bit of back and forth in this video, but more importantly, I'm glad you guys are here. I appreciate you spending time with the channel, and before long, we're going to get all these hands and shoulders and everything working right, and at the same time, we're working on trying to get into the shop as my buddies have got time to come over and help me, because, one-handed, when you're flying and you only got one wing, you're going to fly around in a circle, okay? So anyway, bear with us. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for spending time on my channel. So at this point in time, let's turn around and get into these boxes. Brake hose, brake hose, wheel caliper. Now, I know they make kits and whatnot to rebuild these things, but these have been on this car sitting still since like 94, 95. I'm not going to go through the trouble to try to rebuild these things only to maybe have a problem. No more money than we're talking about here. I think these things cost me about $30, $35. No more money we're talking about. Makes absolutely no sense to spend $15 on a repair kit only to turn around and have a problem and wind up buying this thing back anyway. So then I'm $15 to $20 plus all that time beyond what the cost of this was. So anyway, we got two of these on all this stuff. Okay, this particular box has got the master cylinder in it. Not going to bore you with undoing it. My guess is this is going to be another caliper. Well, what do I know? Front brake pads. So with that being said, without boring you with this other box, that's going to have the calipers in it, the rear brake shoes, and one other brake line. Oddly enough, this particular car has 3 brake lines. You got one on each corner, then you've got a crossover line in the back as it ties into the metering block there on top of the differential. So we're going to get all of this done. We'll get the wheels and tires put on it, and then we'll start moving into the other shop. All right, through the magic of television and a tremendous amount of help from my friend, my buddy, my cohort in crime, Randy, came by and just went ahead and put the brake assemblies back together on all 4 corners of the Oldsmobile. You saw us take it apart in an earlier video, and I didn't want to take the time to try to film that because there's probably 100 videos on how to do that. But then we also got the Corvette rallies or the Chevrolet rallies, I should say, that Jeff dropped by, put on the Oldsmobile, and Randy just kept going. We got the car out of the garage, out of the old shop. He worked and done 99% of everything because, again, I'm flying with one wing right now. But nonetheless, we got the car out from where it was at, on 4 shoes, into the new building, kind of into position where we can go ahead and start looking at it, start working on it. So we're going to do a little quick walk around so you can see what it looks like actually sitting on the ground. And next time around, I don't know where we're going to be, but nonetheless, this is where we are right now. Thanks for coming along. So as you can see, there's the Chevrolet rallies that we put on the car just to get it on the ground. Got the brakes back together. We haven't bled or primed anything. We just got it to where we could move it. And we've got new brake lines, 3 of them to put on, and a few other things to do. But more importantly, progress is being made. Okay, this was the 3rd installment on this video, and no, I've not grown 4.5, 5 inches. I'm just standing on a stack of OSB that's going to be used here in the shop. But what I wanted to do is take a little quick walk around the Oldsmobile and go over some of the body stuff that's going to have to be done. The car is really, the bones here is really, really good. We're not doing a hot rod type deal. We're going to put it back more or less original, just so we can drive it, have something reliable, but we're not going to do an LS swap. We're going to leave the 350 that's in there, update the carburetor and a few other things. But we're going to walk around. Most of the rust that's on this car is mostly superficial or surface rust. There's a couple areas like here we're going to have to get in depth and do a little bit of reforming. But the biggest problem that I want to draw your attention to is back here in the back. These cars are notorious. First of all, this is a plastic piece here. And it just deteriorates and goes away. We've got a little bit of rust through there, but that's going to be an easy panel to fill in, to make and form and weld in. It's going to be real easy to get to. But the biggest problem we've got is right here on the corners of the trunk lid. Okay, this, for whatever reason, held water and rusted through, but it did not get into the body down here. We do have a touch of rust that came through on the top. But I've got another lid for this car that I pulled out of the junkyard. And oddly enough, the top of it's got a lot of surface rust, and it's almost as thin as a potato chip. I mean, you can tell that it's really thin. This skin here is really good. The under part is what's rotted away. So you'll want to stick around and see. I think the plan right now is to come in, and we're going to cut this out, this whole section out, and cut it out of the other one that's in good shape and metal work it back into place. Just so you understand, many people don't know, but anytime you see body panels on trucks and cars like this, this is actually a 2-piece thing. This part under here where you get your rigidity, your strength, it is stamped out in a die, and then the top is. And if you look very closely right here, this hemmed edge, sometimes they're just formed and pressed, and other times you can actually look at it and see that it's spot welded. Most of the spot welding on this type of stuff began to go away in the mid-70s, and that may explain why it's not here, because this is a 77 model Oldsmobile. If you go back in your 60s and 50s, you'll find a tremendous amount of spot welds out here on the perimeter. But again, the trunk lid, or the trunk area, the shoulders and the gutterway and all, is in really good shape. The water channeled out, but for whatever reason, it held this corner and that corner, and it's just rotted away. So I think what we're going to do is take this whole panel out, metal work it back in, and again, you'll want to stick around for that. It's not hard, but it'll be an interesting thing to see how that one there is patterned out. As you come around to the other side over here, again, it's just surface rust. Panels that are not really bad enough to take out, they're not rusted through. There is some pitting, but I think that can be massaged out with a little bit of salve. We've got the trim to go around the windows, and of course we'll be putting in new rubbers and all. But again, the old 77, there's a lot of good bones here. So I hope you'll stick around, follow us through the series as we do this. As we're gradually getting into the shops, you'll start seeing more and more project and more sparks fly. I appreciate you spending time with the channel, and as always, God bless.